Hi, I'm Becky Strapey from Glue and Glitter, and today we're making crispy tofu. Y'all, this tofu is flavorful and crisp. It's delicious on a salad, or you can serve it as an entree. Slice your tofu into fingers and then set it aside while you make your quick marinade. In a small bowl, combine 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, a teaspoon of rice vinegar, and a half teaspoon of garlic powder. Whisk that together and then pour it over your tofu so everything gets nice and well coated. Then set your tofu aside to marinate for 15 to 30 minutes. While the tofu is marinating, you have plenty of time to prep whatever else you're going to serve with it. When the tofu is done marinating, grab yourself another small bowl and add a 1/4 cup of flour. You can use white flour, wheat flour, or white wheat. Any of those will work fine. Then add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of onion powder, and whisk that all together. Set that aside for just a second. Transfer your marinated tofu to a large bowl. Leave any extra marinade behind. You're all done with that. Now, pour 2 tablespoons of cornstarch over the tofu and toss it together to get it nice and evenly coated in that cornstarch. The cornstarch is going to combine with the liquid from the tofu and from the marinade to basically make kind of a glue that's going to help that flavorful flour coating stick. Now it's time to add the flour mixture. So just like the cornstarch, dump it in and then use a spoon to kind of fold it into the tofu, getting everything nice and evenly coated. Heat a frying pan on medium-high heat and add a 1/4 cup of oil. I know that's a lot of oil, but we're not going to actually eat all of that oil. You'll see at the end that there's quite a bit of oil left in the pan, but you do need that much oil to get this tofu nice and crispy. Before you add the tofu to the pan, you want to make sure that your oil is nice and hot. The way that I like to do this is I just wet my fingers under the tap in the sink and then flick a little bit of water into the pan. And when you do that, if the water sizzles off immediately, you know that the oil is hot enough to cook that tofu. You don't want to put the tofu into the pan before the oil is hot, because if you do that, it's going to soak up more oil than you want and you're going to end up with tofu that's too greasy. So once your oil's nice and hot, add your tofu to the pan and then let it cook for 7 minutes. You can shake the pan gently a couple of times just to make sure things aren't sticking, but you don't need to mess with the tofu at all during this cooking time. What is important for this recipe is that you use a non-stick pan. If you want to use a pan that isn't non-stick, you're going to have to use a lot more oil to keep the tofu from sticking. In a non-stick pan, that 1/4 cup will do it, but if you're using like a cast iron skillet, you're going to basically need to deep fry this tofu instead. After 7 minutes, check the tofu, and if it's browned on the bottom, it's time to flip. If it's not browned to your liking yet, just give it another minute and then check it again. It should be ready to flip by the 8-minute mark though. So flip each piece of tofu over gently. I like to use a spatula to kind of scoop, and then I use a fork to turn the piece over. Just be careful if you're using a metal fork, it can scratch the nonstick, so just make sure it's not touching the bottom of your pan. Once it's all flipped over, you're gonna cook it again for another 6 to 7 minutes. So just like before, at the 6-minute mark, check to see if it's browned on the bottom to your liking, and if not, just give it another minute and check again. When the tofu is done cooking, transfer it to a large plate lined with paper towel or a clean kitchen towel. This is going to drain off any excess oil because we want this tofu crispy, but we don't want it to be greasy. After you've let the tofu drain for a few minutes, you are ready to eat. As you can see, I'm serving this tofu as part of a nice big salad, but you can also serve it as an entree alongside rice and your favorite veggies, or toss it in with noodles and veggies for a nice quick dinner. I hope that this video has answered all of your questions about how to make crispy pan-fried tofu. If you have any questions that I didn't address, feel free to drop a comment. I'm always happy to help. And don't forget to rate and subscribe. Happy cooking!